Hello everyone and welcome to my little corner of the internet. My name's Michael and I'm bitten by a radioactive book. Today I'm here to talk to you about all the books I plan to read over the course of May. I have picked out 10 books that I want to get to, so I'm ambitious this month, but the month has 31 days and I'm in a reading mood, so let's see how many of them we can tackle down. So, let's get started. I've already started 3 books in April, and so let's begin with them. The first of them is The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu. It's the first installment in his The Dandelion Dynasty series. And this is Asian-inspired fantasy. What I find really interesting, because I've already started it, I'm like 1/3 of the way through, is that the writing seems to have a lot from like Asian mythology. Like it's not like this consistent way of like a modern novel is written. It's more of like a, a classic tale. Like you see, I always imagine this story as like a painter, and the canvas is just rolling on and rolling on, and the painter paints us like a beautiful picture, and at some points the canvas stops and we are focusing in and seeing various scenes. So it's quite a different approach of writing than we get in a normal novel. And I pretty much enjoy that, but it might not be for everyone. I heard that this was something that turned people away from the book as well. But so far, I'm really enjoying this, and yeah, can't wait to see what's happening next. The next book is Nightbringer by Graham McNeill. It's the first installment in his Ultramarine series. And as most of you will have most likely recognized, this is a book from the Warhammer 40k universe. Warhammer has been part of my life, or not really. I know of Warhammer for quite a long time, so I have played the tabletop game 20 years ago, the fantasy version. I have a Draven army, unpainted, because I suck at painting. Um, and I played various video games over the course of the years. But I've never actually really ever gotten into reading Warhammer, because I always had like this prejudice maybe of, oh, okay, this is just like action fasts and there's no depth in these books. And last year I was thinking, or lately I was thinking, okay, let's try to find out what they're actually all about. And so I got on the internet, got some like recommendations of where to start with the fantasy and the 40k universe, and one series that was recommended for beginners was Graham McNeill's Ultramarine series, and so I actually bought a bind-up version of the first 3 novels, which also contains like a short story, and I've read the short story so far, and now I'm in the first book, in Nightbringer. This is the story of the 4th company of the Ultramarines and their captain, Uriel Ventris. And so far, they are tasked to, escort an administrative, high-ranking official to a planet that hasn't paid its taxes, and is also raided by Eldar, think Elven, like raiders or pirates. So far I am surprised by that it's not just like action after action after action, and it seems I really enjoy it. And speaking of science fiction, I'm like halfway through Redemption Arc by Alistair Reynolds, which is the second installment in his Revelation Space series. I won't go into too much detail about the plot because the plot is very complex, and if you haven't read like the first book, Revelation Space, and the standalone Chasm City, most of this won't make a lot of sense. But Alistair Reynolds is someone that I thoroughly enjoy, and I want to finish the series. That's why not only Redemption Arc is on my TBR for May, but actually Absolution Gap, the third installment as well. And I really find his universe like very unique with very interesting ideas, and so yeah, I'm really looking forward to finish this series. Next up we have Witch Hunter by C.L. Werner. This is the first installment, I think, in his Witch Hunter series, and it's Warhammer Fantasy, so I want to approach both the 40k and the fantasy universe. And apparently we are following a witch hunter called Matthias Tullman. So in German we would call him Matthias Tullman. So let's do this, because I'm German and I can use my German with this books. Yeah, and I know nothing about it. He's a witch hunter, so he apparently hunts like supernatural beings in the old world, and it gives us a glimpse into the Empire. That's all I know, so roll with it. Then there's a little motto that I already talked about with the Revelation Space series. I actually want to finish a few series um, in May, and so the next couple of books are all like last installments in series, and we're starting off with The Seven by Peter Newman. It's the third and final, I think, installment in his Vagrant series. And this series started off with The Vagrant and was followed up by The Malice. I won't get into too much detail about like the plot or anything. Just imagine, like in the first book, the main character is actually mute and he carries like a baby with him and a huge ass sword. And how all of these are connected is something that you find out during the first book, and in the second book, the baby is grown up and she's kind of the main character, and that's the Malice. And I don't actually know what's going to happen in the Seven now. The Seven are the gods in this world. This is as far as I know. And the world is very interesting because it is like a post-apocalyptic fantasy horror world. We had like a supernatural events where some horrific demon-like creatures, but not like in the classical sense. It's very the ideas are very unique, and I think most of you won't have read something like these horrors that there are in this world. Um, and um, and we have elements of technology in there, but also like a lot of like typical fantasy things like knights and people running around with swords, and the terminology is very fantasy-esque, but it's actually like a post-apocalyptic science fantasy. The world building is really interesting, and yeah, now I really want to know how it ends. Next up we have Wrath by John Gwynne, the final installment in the Faithful and the Fallen series. I put this on my TBR last month, but I didn't get to it, but this month is the month to finish series, so I want to finish it as well. This is more of a Celtic-inspired fantasy. It's very classical, but from an author who actually knows in what times he's writing in. So I really enjoy reading this series. This series really grew up book by book. The cast grew wider, and yeah, I really enjoyed like the first three books. I think I rated them like 4.45 or 4.55, something like this. So really a series that I enjoy. And the final volume is Tyrant's Throne, the fourth and final installment in Sebastian de Castell's Greatcoat series. I think a lot of booktubers and I, if you have seen my wrap-up yesterday, have talked a lot about the series. If you haven't heard anything about it, the pitch is fantasy, the Three Musketeers. That's basically it. And lots of fun, lots of action. Yeah, really good series, and I want to get to the final book. And speaking of my wrap-up from yesterday, I reviewed A Dagger Spell, which is the first installment in Catherine Kerr's Devery series, and now this month I want to get to Dark Spell, which is the second installment. And I'm really interested in finding out what happens and how she will approach this, because the ideas of souls being reborn over the centuries, it's like really unique, and I'm interested to see like if she keeps that up or if she like stays in the present time. So I'm really interested, yeah, to see how this series continues. And the final book I want to get to is by an author called Brian Lee Durfee. I think it's his debut. It's The Forgetting Moon, the first installment in his 5 Warrior Angels series. It's like very classical fantasy. I have the feeling, multiple point of view. A boy with a destiny is in there who gets trained. There's a king who has I think daughters, and they are point of view characters, if I got that right. I don't know that much about the series, but it sounded yeah, like it would be for me. Love the cover art, and yeah, so this is getting read in May. So these are the 10 books I plan to read over the course of May. So let's meet up again at the end of the month and see how well I did. So if you have read any of them and have an opinion, please tell me how you like them. Of course, spoiler free would be nice. And if you liked this video, please hit the like button. If you want to see more of me, subscribe to my channel. And until next time, I hope you get bitten by a really good book too. Bye.